But now that Mubarak is gone, it'll be even worse for the Christians. And what's going to happen?
Well, I think I want to say Mubarak, at the very least, that he kept the relationship with Israel pretty much intact, the peace accords. After after the Muslim Brotherhood tried to destroy it.
Right. Now the Muslim Brotherhood,
Yasser Arafat.
The Muslim Brotherhood will come to power in September, and even if they have only 30%, Hitler came to power with 30%, Ayatollah Khomeini came to power with 30%, and then he destroyed all the other groups in the coalition. The Muslim Brotherhood said two things. They're going to destroy Israel when they come to power, meaning a war between Egypt and Israel. And secondly, they're going to wipe out the Christians.
Now, how soon do you think this is? Well, they will come to power in September of this year.
Yes, but it will take some time till they get the right scenario for a war with Israel. Israel had to defend itself 3 times and took Sinai 3 times, and 3 times American presidents made us give it back.
Right.
And by the way, I supported the peace process also. We all supported the peace process, but now overnight it's gone. And I recommend to your listeners to go to Ezekiel 29 and read that whole chapter about the desolation and ruination of Egypt, which never happened. And it says that the Egyptians will not be killed. They will be scattered to the 4 corners of the earth.
I just preached that about 2-3 months ago, and that they would never return as well.
You know, it says in 40 years they will come back, and then Egypt will be a lowly kingdom.
I'll have to check that, because I think that, but go ahead, I want to argue.
The point I'm saying is that if you have 86 million Egyptians and 10 to 15 million are Christian, when those people are gone, either being killed or forced to leave, then the Egyptian economy collapses. When the Egyptian economy collapses, you're going to have 70 million starving people. You're going to have a massive migration. And we already see from Tunisia and Libya and Algeria, we see massive migration of starving people to Europe, and they will be coming to America. And President Obama, if he said that within 8 years of his presidency, America would be Muslim, how do you make America Muslim? You're bringing 100 million people.
Why do you think the American people refuses to acknowledge that Obama is a Muslim and that he is here to destroy America? I mean, you get a lot of conservatives like Rush Limbaugh and others talking about he wants to destroy the economy, but they don't talk about destroying the nation for what it stands for, or nor do they ever defend Christianity or the Jews. Why do you think it's that way? I mean,
it's very simple. It takes a thief to know a thief. Americans are not thieves. Americans, and again, I don't care what Christian denomination you belong to, what Jewish denomination, Reformed, Conservative, Orthodox, Americans by nature are a loving Western people. And you cannot understand the thief that has come into your midst. Now, I considered myself a Lawrence of Arabia. When I moved to Israel, I loved the Arabs and I hated the Christians, like many Jews do. When I met my wife, I said, oh, this is perfect. You know, she's Egyptian, she speaks Arabic, I love the Arabic music, the Arabic culture, and she knows how to cook.
Good.
And,
I'm glad of that.
Now I have a problem with diet. But the point is that when I met my wife, she said, no, you got it wrong. The Christians are our brothers and sisters, and the Muslims, their God is Satan. My wife said it to me from day one.
Your wife was right.
And my wife was right. And, you know, I always listen to my wife, but sometimes it takes 20 years before I understand what she's saying. But we've been together 43 years. But the point I'm saying is Americans are lost. Americans have no clue of what Islam really is. And, by the way,
will our blindness be our undoing? I mean, and then, of course, you're stating, and we are indeed more of a peace-loving people. We're not as much as a thief or violent people as
you can't understand that group that has
until you travel there and you understand how Muslims think and how they're raised, what the Quran preaches as well.
See, I'm married to it now because my wife came from there and says, boy, you Americans, you know,
you're suckers.
It's because you're so kind and so sweet and so Christian, you can't understand the opposite system, which is of the devil, which is out there.
Well, you know, many Christians believe that the acceptance of Islam, the acceptance of the Quran, the acceptance of Allah, and religious tolerance, which is, I don't understand that. I don't understand how a Christian can tolerate a religion such as Islam or the teachings of Muhammad. I don't understand that at all.
You know, it's very simple. Our God, your God and my God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob,
yes, absolutely,
loves every Jew, loves every Christian, loves every Hindu, Buddhist, and Muslim. Even the sinner. There is no human being that God does not love because we're all in God's image. God is our ultimate Father. In Islam, Allah hates the Jews, hates the Christians, hates the Hindus, hates the Buddhists, hates the blacks in Africa. And I think Allah hates the Muslims because they slaughter each other in His name till there's nobody left. And Islam is a religion of peace when there are no more human beings on the face of the earth because everybody dies. So the point I'm saying is that Islam, the God of Islam, is an opposite God to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. How could a God who loves everyone be the same as a God who hates everyone?
Got a couple other questions for you, and that's a great analogy of who Allah is and the preaching of Muhammad. You were in the IDF for several years.
30 years.
As a young man. Could you tell us a little bit about that experience? Because I'm so enamored by the IDF and how it stands to defend the nation through Yasser Arafat. You were there during those years.
Absolutely.
Hezbollah, Hamas, and probably to some degree Iran as well. And so tell me a little bit about what it's like to be a part of that and why you're so powerful in what you do.
Well, firstly, Israel is a very, very tightly knit family country. And the army is a family army, and everybody serves. It's not like here in America where it's a volunteer army. In Israel, everyone serves in the army, boys and girls and all different denominations, all different ethnic groups. And by the way, some of our best officers today are black people from Ethiopia. And when there are people who say Israel is racist and Israel is apartheid, we took in our black brethren from Ethiopia.
I remember that.
And they're officers, they're into computers now, they're just like any other immigrant group that came to Israel. And on the other hand, you have you have Abu Mazen, who says any land that we will take from the Jews, there will not be one Jew on that land. So the real apartheid is the Palestinians and the Muslims. Any land they take, no Jew will be there. By the way, there's not one Jew in Saudi Arabia. There's not one Jew living in Jordan. By law, these countries are apartheid countries against...
I say it all the time.
Yeah.
Christianity as well.
Yeah. Now, well, the Christians are being decimated little by little. One thing, I don't know if we have time at all, but, you know, Syria, nobody's talking about Syria. 10% of the population is Christian. They're going to get wiped out with the 10%, which is Shiite, because the 10% Shiite rule over 80% Sunnis. And the Sunnis are backed by the Muslim Brotherhood, the same Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, Gaza, and Turkey.
14 million Jews worldwide, 1.5 billion Muslims worldwide. Every time the Muslims rose up against Israel, they were defeated. God defeated them.
Right.
What's going to happen next?
I think what was is what will be. And if you look at, I think we read it this Saturday in the synagogue, 2 Samuel, I think you have the whole chapter there about the 4 lepers who went to the Aramean camp. And it turns out that the Arameans ran away because they heard chariots and horses.
Right.
God does those things. And of course, 2 Chronicles chapter 20, it shows 3 different armies marching on Jerusalem. And the children of Israel come to Jehoshaphat, the king, and say, what are we going to do? We're surrounded by 3 armies. We'll never make it. He said, get on your faces before the Lord, and we will see God's miracles. The next day, those 3 armies slaughtered each other. I mean, I'm not happy when Muslims kill each other. But anybody who comes to hit Israel, they're touching the apple of God's eye, which is, of course, Zechariah 2, verse 12.
Will Saudi Arabia remain stable and an ally as much as possible? We call Saudi Arabia that. Or will it become pretty much a jihadist type of a nation as well?
Well, I don't know if we could call it jihadist. What I do see in Saudi Arabia, of course, is the struggle between 50% of the population, which is Shiite, and 50% which is Sunni. The Shiites live where the oil is, but the Sunnis control everything and have all the wealth. The Saudis sent their army to Bahrain to save the king, who is a Sunni. The Sunnis are 30% there, and the Shiites, backed by Iran, are 70%. And they went in because if Bahrain falls to the Shiites, then they're next. And so there's going to be a tremendous war between, like I said before, this has been going on for 1,354 years between the Sunnis and the Shiites, and it's going to continue until they finish each other off. And so I believe what we will see eventually in Saudi Arabia will be a breakdown of the kingdom into warring factions, like Libya also. This is the nature of Satan. Division is from the devil. These people are going to be divided against each other. They're going to fight each other to the death. And eventually there's going to be a tremendous vacuum. And it's a very big problem for America and the world because of the oil.
Let me revisit another point regarding the confidential message I think your wife Rachel heard or you expressed to me about Obama's commitment to turn America into a Muslim nation, mainly by banning speech against Muslims, and other things that you said as well. And can we trust that as information that is absolutely correct?
Well, I believe absolutely correct. Also, why? Because the Muslims are saying it in Arabic in their media. And every day they're saying it. Does
what we see going on now, what I'm referring to as the Quran Belt, all the way from Morocco, all the way back over to Pakistan with Afghanistan, the uprising in Islamic mindset, is that a part of that process? Is Obama integral to the fact that all of this unrest is going on in what was referred to as the Middle East, but I call the Quran Belt?
In the eyes of Islam, Obama is the right man in the right place at the right time to open up the American floodgates to 100 million Muslims coming in here. And like I said before, if Ezekiel 29 is right, and if we see what's happening in Egypt happens, that they kill the Christians in Egypt, they kill the Christians in Syria, they kill the Christians in Lebanon. We saw what happened in Sudan. 2 million Christians and animals were slaughtered.
Yes.
So what's going to happen is a tremendous vacuum is going to be created economically, and you're going to see 100, 200 million Muslims fleeing from the desolation and moving to the greener pastures, which are Christian countries.
You've been speaking in Christian nations for more than
21 years.
2 decades now. And your message has generally been what? The relationship between Christians and Jews?